Now, Links helps people set up their companies in the UAE and Qatar. What exactly do you do for them?
Really, Brandy, it's a question of companies or individuals coming to this part of the world wishing to establish a legal commercial presence. That's what we do. So it sounds a little glib, but Links is all about allowing the company or individual to concentrate on their core business whilst we take care of the rest, get them their licensing, permits, etc.
Is it more, though, than just acting as a sort of an outsourced PRO? Is it consultancy as well as just paperwork, forms and 46 copies of your passport?
Yeah, actually, I've never been accused of being an outsourced PRO before, but you're quite right. It's it is a little more than that. Perhaps acting where necessary as a local partner. Within Links Group, there's a 100% national-owned company, either here or up in Qatar, where we also operate. But it's licensing, permits, local partner requirements, and again, allowing the company to get on with their own business.
And how does all of this fit in with the 51-49% rule that we have with in the UAE? Well,
currently under the Companies Act, a limited liability company, I guess you're referring to, Yadullah, where the majority ownership sits with the local partner. Within Links Group, we have a 100% local company that can act as that partner if required. So, and often it's the case where the local partner is required to be a nominee partner, really, not necessarily too involved in the business, but to comply with companies law.
What are you seeing now compared to when you set up 5 years ago, in terms of the type of companies who are coming in, from which sectors and from which countries are they coming?
I guess the first thing, Brandy, is the phenomenal growth. I mean, we're looking at something like, we don't have the exact figures at the moment, or the net figures, but something like 300 new companies establishing in Dubai every week. That's non-free zone, that's onshore. And our own experience is that's across all sectors. And also all sizes. So it could be a one-person consultancy business starting from scratch, an organically growing business, to a multinational telecoms or construction company that wants to establish a regional presence here. So really, again, a bit of a vague answer, but it's across all sectors and all sizes.
Now, I guess the obvious question, maybe not the obvious question to me, is why do companies need you at all? We keep hearing about how much easier bureaucracy is getting in the UAE. On one hand, we've got the free zones, who claim that they basically take the bureaucracy out of everything and make everything incredibly easy. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, outside, we've got all this e-government stuff going on, where everything is supposed to be quick, transparent, being able to be done over the internet. So why do we need a company that will do this for us?
Again, I think it is back to the point of allowing companies, whatever sector they happen to be in, to concentrate on their core business from day one. They don't really want to be bogged down with the bureaucracy. So are you saying that the bureaucracy is still a problem, a hassle for companies setting up in the UAE? I don't think necessarily a problem, but it's a question of allocation of resources, and it's become far easier to establish a business in the UAE than it ever was. There's no doubt.
So how long does it typically take for a business to set up here in the UAE?
This is probably where I'm at loggerheads with the operations department within Links Group, because we have to, there's the reality and there's the operational reality, and I think we would say something like 30 working days to establish an LLC. I don't think I'll get into trouble for saying that.
Are you worried that the government here will get more and more and more efficient in terms of business processes, so that eventually they'll get so efficient that you will effectively be out of business yourselves? No,
I don't think so. I think the demand for new company formation is there, and the easier it gets, the better. And with the e-government initiatives and the great strides departments such as the notarial section of the courts or the economic department have made in the last few years is tremendous, and that makes business much easier in a place like Dubai.
What kind of companies typically come to you for setting up?
I don't think there's really a typical company. In fact, I was speaking with the producer before I came into the studio this morning, and we discussed 3 different companies that Links have been dealing with over the last a few weeks, and one's a multinational construction company, one is a hairdressing salon, and the other one is a feng shui consultant. So there's no real clear answer. That's what makes our job very interesting. It's all sectors.
I think the other important question to ask is you've been doing this for, I think, 5 years. How much of the cost of setting up business gone up in the UAE since you've been doing this? What have you noticed?
Strangely, I think, Yadullah, it's not so much of costs going up, but obviously costs do increase. But because the process has actually become rather smoother or rather more transparent, at least now a company like Lynx or a consultancy like Lynx are able to give a clearer picture of what the actual cost is going to be for a company that's setting up. So I think right from the beginning, so there are no hidden surprises. You've got your license costs, your permit costs, visas, sponsorship if required. Obviously, the rental element, as with every other sector, has increased. But the actual cost of doing business or setting up business hasn't increased that dramatically in line with inflation figures.
Well, while we're on the subject of cost, we've had a couple of listeners text in, actually, to say, how much do you charge?
Well, again, that's really how long is a piece of string. It depends on I would say, the nature of the company, the sector that the company or the individual's operating in, and also the number of people involved in that business. Well, one thing Lynx has come across or has been dealing with over the last couple of years in particular is the incubator style of business, where you've got individuals that have got a great business idea. Perhaps they're working for a larger company here and want to break out on their own. And in the past, that was quite difficult. You either go fully fledged into new company formation, or now there's another option, an incubator option.
But can you not give us a ballpark figure so that we know if we're talking about sort of, 50 dirhams and a good fish supper, or sort of thousands of dirhams, tens of thousands of dirhams? Where are we, roughly?
You're into the tens of thousands of dirhams. I think that's the reality. But again, traditionally, it always used to be rather like rent for residential premises here. It used to be upfront, 12 months upfront payment. That's not the case now. You can enter into a new business startup or arrangement where it's monthly costs, so you can budget accordingly. But I really can't give you a figure. I'm not being evasive, but it does depend on the type of business, Brandy.
Fair enough. John Martin St Valery, the Chief Executive Officer of the Lynx Group of Companies, thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.